Welcome to Old Guy Tech,
the OGT.TV recording studio.
Technology for the rest of us.
Hey, this is Rob, Old Guy Tech TV, and I'm here today with Sheriff John DeAugustini on Crime Beat, and I want to thank John for coming in on this wonderful summer day and spending a little bit of time with us and here in the studio, as he always does. And we've got some burning questions, but I know one of the biggest ones out there for most of the people in El Dorado County has been a deputy that was injured in a car crash here recently, and we were hoping to get some more information out of you for this so that we can get this out to the county.
Sure. It'll be limited because the CHP is still investigating the incident, and I don't want to step on their toes.
Right.
But you had asked me earlier if I was willing to advise who the deputy was,
right.
and I am. Is Deputy Jeremiah Hammond. He's doing well. He was released from the hospital a couple days after the accident. Hardest part right now is trying to keep him down. His wife says she's having a heck of a time. The doctor wants him down and pretty much sedentary for a while, and he's bored.
For an active guy, that's a tough thing to do.
Great deputy. They're all great deputies. Jeremiah's an outstanding deputy. We're just hopefully that he recovers quickly and is able to come back to work.
So good. He's out of the hospital, so that's good news. And he managed no major injuries then.
Correct.
Good, perfect. So I bet the airbags and everything else did its job.
Yes, sir.
Thank God for crumple zones and airbags. I'll tell you, they saved a lot of lives. So that's good. Hey, our what wishes and get well soon and all of that stuff from us and all the people that have been asking me about who it was and what was going on all go out to Jeremiah. Thank you very much for doing your duty, and I am so glad that you are okay, and we'll hope to see you soon. So good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So John, we cover so much in the show, and sometimes I come up with funny questions that people have been asking, and I saw a show not long ago where the question was, how do you physically identify a peace officer? And so we decided we'd go right to the sheriff and say, okay, as an average citizen, how do we identify a true officer?
A true peace officer.
Correct. Peace officer.
Well, there's a number of ways. Number one, unless they're working in an undercover fashion,
right,
they should be clearly identifiable as a peace officer.
Right.
A uniform and a badge, obviously, is
you would
comes
think.
to mind, right?
Right.
It comes to mind.
Yeah.
There's some concern and speculation as to, well, they have to show me their ID card and they have to show me a business card and all this other stuff. That's not true. If they're identifiable as a peace officer, they have to have their badge or their shield, and some form of identification that sets them apart from every other peace officer there. So whether it's a name tag on their above their pocket, or an ID number on their badge, or whatever it is, that way you can call up the agency and say, Deputy so-and-so or deputy met with the ID or whatever was I believe violated policy and want to complain. That's really what the legislative intent of the identifying features were.
I think one of the fears that, and one of the reasons this has come up has been, and as far as I know, it's not ever happened in California, but there have been guys out there trolling at night pretending to be peace officers and have pulled over basically single women in cars and try to present themselves as peace officers. What's your recommendation for those people that might get that way?
If you have a concern that somebody is impersonating a peace officer, obviously question. You have the right to question that officer.
Sure.
Be polite. They'll hopefully, a real peace officer should be polite back.
Absolutely.
Depending on what the circumstances are, if there's not an emergency going on or whatever, ask, you mind if I call the agency and make sure that you work for this agency?
Yeah, you're legit. Right.
If you have those concerns. I would be very careful about confronting an individual. Obviously, if you're confronting a real peace officer and they had a legitimate reason to come into contact with you,
right,
it could degrade the situation, so to speak.
Right.
And if you are confronting somebody impersonating a peace officer, they may escalate the situation and make things worse. So try to remain calm. Make that phone call. If you believe it's in a situation like that, maybe not. If you don't know the number of the agency, 911 may be the only way to do it.
Right.
That may be appropriate given the circumstances at the scene. You're right. It is easy today's day and age, to get fake badges and fake IDs and fake uniforms and everything else. But keep in mind that is a crime.
Right.
That we will absolutely 100% investigate to the fullest. And rest assured that normal, regular peace officers, we tend to stand out in how we conduct ourselves and how we do our business. And we have no problem showing you our ID, identifying ourselves properly, things of that nature. Just in those rare circumstances, please be very, very careful. Use common sense, and try not to escalate a situation to make things worse.
Yeah, it's a tightrope situation, where you want to make sure that you obey the laws, but if you have any concerns, the officer's obviously going to ask you for vehicle registration, proof of insurance, and ID, which you can pass through the window without opening the whole window at the moment, if you're afraid, while you're making a call. I guess that's a possibility. But we certainly don't want people to be scared that this is happening. I haven't heard about it for a while, but we do know it has happened.
It happens.
Yeah, so we just want to make sure. There was one not too long ago. I think we shared this one. Some guy pulled over a detective in his pickup truck. So some guy flashed the light. He was a nobody. And he turned around and he pulled him over and rolls down his window. So why'd you pull me over? Oh, you were speeding. Oh man, it was on then.
It went downhill from there.
It went downhill. You pulled the wrong guy over.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
That was a good one. So we're glad to hear that. One of the questions, again, that I get asked, we get this little forum where people say, hey, ask the sheriff this, ask the sheriff that. One of the questions that's an interesting one here was, what role can the sheriff's office play in helping to reduce public fears about the intrusion of federal government into their private homes of individuals?
What role can the sheriff's office play in that?
Right.
Well, public perception is everything. I think that we do a good role at the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office in making sure that we are protecting everybody's rights. That goes for anybody, even a criminal.
Right.
Part of our vision statement at the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office is total enforcement on crime and criminals. You step over the line, we're going to hold you accountable. However, we will treat you with respect.
Right.
That's part of our job. Federal intrusions, I've made no bones about it. I am very constitutionally oriented.
Right.
I believe our Constitution is the supreme law of the land. I believe it means what it says today. What it says today and means today is the same thing it meant over 200 some years ago when it was written.
Right.
I think we've done a pretty good job at the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, and I've done a pretty good job of stepping up when we needed to step up. Last year, in July 22nd, I believe it was, of last year, pulling the U.S. Forest Service's State Peace Officer Authority, which under the law is something that they get from me.
Right.
I removed that because they weren't conducting themselves, and in my opinion, were being overly intrusive and administering public safety in the manner that I demand from our deputies.
Right.
And even to the state level, the over-intrusion of the state. When we had the ladies out in Shingle Springs that were providing milk to, they had like a herd share program going on. They had a couple milk cows, and some of their friends wanted whole milk.
Right.
And the state came in and said that's illegal. No, it wasn't. They were looking at an obscure portion of the law and taking it out of context. These were ladies that were just helping out their neighbors. This was neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, helping one another out.
This was not out as a
This
business.
is not a
no,
it
Right.
was fine.
Yeah.
So we stepped in and got involved.
Good.
I think a sheriff that is willing to do that. Sometimes it might not be the most popular thing, but I've explained it many times. Being that oath of office means a lot to me. We don't live in a democracy.
Right.
We live in a representative republic.
Right.
We elect people to make our decisions for us at the government level, policy decisions. If we don't like it, we elect somebody else. If the majority of the people, if 99.9% of the residents of El Dorado County wanted to do something, wanted our government to do something, or wanted to do something, or were carrying out something that was unconstitutional, it's my duty to stand up for that 1/10 of 1%. Because we don't live in a democracy. It's
Right.
not mob rule. I guess this is a good time to talk about it, and this is why I come in plain clothes, so we can talk a little bit
Good.
of politics from time
Sure.
to time.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I'm not too popular right now with some folks in the community because, and I really haven't come out and said anything yet, but I will now. These are the initiative process. There's a lot of initiatives going on right now in the county on in regards to property rights and developments and things like that. Again, we live in a representative republic. Our supervisors are the ones that make those decisions. If we don't agree with the decisions they're making,
Right.
then we elect new supervisors.
Correct.
Simple as that. The initiative process for a group of citizens to come out and say, we don't like the way things are going. They're not redressing government. They're making a new law. And signing on to these, getting these new initiatives on the ballot for the majority to vote on, I don't believe it's right. Number one, you're talking again constitutionally. I think that property rights issues will be litigated after these initiatives if they pass. They will be litigated. I guarantee it's going to cost the county a lot of money. If a person owns 100 acres, zoned 5 acres, and has paid taxes on that property, and goes to the county and wants to get it rezoned for 5 acres, that should be their right. Now, if they want a variance, then they go through the process and they go to the board, and the board can make that decision. If you
Right.
don't like the
Right.
decision that the board is making, again, elect the new board.
Right.
But I guarantee, if I had 100 acres and I was paying property taxes on it, zoned as could be zoned 5 acres, and I wanted it to happen, and a group of people or a county or a legislative body or whatever took those property rights away from me, you darn right I would litigate it, because that would be unconstitutional. So, bottom line, the whole initiative process I have an issue with. It's not the ballot issue. That's not the ballot box issue. That's not
Right.
what I have the problem with. I have the problem with we have a representative republic. If they're not doing their job, we elect the new representatives. If we're going along this way, we don't even need them. We don't even need it.
Right.
But that's the way we're set up as a country. That's the way we're set up as a state. That's the way we're set up locally. And that's the way it should go. So, my opinion.
Yeah, I think your opinion is as valid as. I would have to study the case by case issue. I understand, if it's an issue that is being stonewalled by a group of supervisors, because we've seen it in a lot of areas where a good buddy of one of the supervisors is a developer, and there's set aside a certain amount of land, and this particular supervisor or more than one have decided to go for their buddy and pass it. I've seen where the initiative process might need to take place, but I haven't read the one that you're talking about at this point.
But again, might need to take place.
Right. Right.
Okay, that's why we have 5 supervisors.
True.
So one can't overrule the rest of the board.
No. But,
and we have conflict of interest laws already on the books.
But do we not see them?
I'm just saying.
Ignored. I know what I know.
So if you look at and we're having a good debate.
Yeah.
So if you look at the initiative process, just on its face, it is mob rule. It is majority rule. Period.
Okay. All right.
That's not how this country's set up. We don't have majority rule. We have a constitutional representative republic.
True.
Democracy is exactly what we all complain about as conservatives when the voters can vote themselves benefits.
Right. Okay.
Again, you're talking the majority. Sure. What's the constitutionality of the issue? That should be the baseline of it. Is it constitutional? The problem is that when you have initiatives, it doesn't really matter if it's constitutional or not.
Right.
They're going to get it on the ballot. They're going to pass it, and then we have to deal with the legality of it and litigate it, and cost a lot of money and a lot of time when we don't even need to go there if we just follow the representative republic form of government that we have.
So under an initiative, so the problem I see that lays that if it's no different than Pelosi standing up holding this for this Obamacare thing, saying we have to pass this to know what's in it. The problem I have with the initiative process, if it hasn't been vetted legally in some manner, okay, and I don't know who writes them. Most of the time they're attorneys, but that's the only time that I see an issue. In other words, I'm just going to say, okay, I'm going to write an initiative, and it's just going to say, hey, I don't like Joe Blow because he's intruding on my property, and I want every other Joe Blow to be able to shoot him, right? And goes in, let me get signatures, and it goes ahead. Obviously, that's not legal, nor will it go anywhere. But would you get people to sign it? You bet you would. I mean, an example of that is I've seen just recently. There was a guy I think it was in Santa Cruz. I think it was a student at Santa Cruz, and he was walking around with this petition. He was saying, hey, if you like President Obama, we need to continue this. So we're putting Joseph Stalin on the ballot.
I've seen those.
Yeah, on the ballot. Would you be interested in helping out? And it's unbelievable amount of people. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, let me just sign it right now. So what happens is, on a lot of these initiatives and these type of things, first of all, people don't. Why do you get so many signatures? Because people really don't understand what they're reading, what's there, so they don't read them. And then secondly, if you have a situation, you have terms of service for supervisors that overlap and overlap, and sometimes the process could take 2 years to get somewhere under representative government. Mm-hmm. So in that time frame, something could already be turned over, dirt could be turned over, blacktop could be laid down. So there are times where maybe if a citizen group really thinks that due to a time situation, a referendum or whatever it may be necessary, I see that possibility.
Well, again,
so I understand your argument.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't have anything against the folks that are putting on the initiatives. I mean, I understand they're frustrated. I understand their concerns. I have an issue with the initiative process. If let's say a bunch of citizens get together and say, you know what, we really want to do our part as El Dorado County. Mm-hmm. No more. The only kind of colored car you can buy is white because it doesn't absorb heat. It's much more energy efficient because you're not going to be running the air conditioner as much and everything. And they've gone through the process and they get enough people to agree to it, and then they actually get it on the ballot. The only car you can buy in El Dorado County is a white car.
All right.
Okay, and it passes.
Yeah.
What does that do to me? I don't want a white car. I want a black car.
I don't disagree with you, but it could also happen. The Board of Supervisors could pass it as well, John.
Then we elect them out and we get somebody else and fix it.
But then you're back to that time period.
Again, it's not. We're not set up as an initiative. We're set up as a constitutional representative republic.
So how did the initiative process get started? I think my problem is I don't have the knowledge to know because obviously, I mean, it's in the California Constitution.
I don't know how it got started. I've had this talk with judges, and they've said, no, it's constitutional. I said, well, I disagree. So, again, I'm disagreeing. I'm not saying I can't go out, and I'm not going to go out and stop the initiative process. It's just
you don't agree with it.
I don't agree with it.
And that's fine. And that's what's so nice about our country. You have the right to disagree.
That's right.
You know, and the real good part of all of this is that we have the ability not only to disagree, but to have a civil conversation about it.
Sure.
And even after that conversation, we may not agree, but we're still friends at the end of the day. The ones that bothers me are the people that take it so far. They're so vehement and so mad.
I'm sure this is going to spur something.
Oh,
It'll
probably.
be a letter to the editor in the paper. And
as seen on TV.
Sheriff hates initiative, doesn't believe. Well, what about this that he got through the initiative? But whatever. I know. That's fine. I'm willing. I stepped up. It's okay.
Hey, you know what? It's good. It's a good thing because we all need to have our opinions, and you have one. See, the thing about your position is you've got an opinion that a lot of people listen to. Okay, because you're the sheriff, and they go, this is the sheriff. I gotta follow the sheriff. So you've got one of those tightropes where you got more juice than little old guy Rob here at Old Guy Tech TV. So I just want you to know that.
Put my pants on one leg at a time, just like
you do. I understand that.
What else we got?
So what about authority? We started on the federal end of it, and let's one of the other questions was. What authority do federal law enforcement agencies such as DEA, FBI, and BATF have over the sheriff's department? Or do they have any?
None other than what they would normally have over normal folks.
Okay.
I can't... our agency has to file all the appropriate documents and everything. No real authority. I mean, they don't come in and, unless I break the law,
right,
come in and arrest me.
And that would be the only reason that I could think of that they would come in and supersede your ability to perform your duties as the sheriff would be the Attorney General.
If I was, the AG can also come in and arrest me.
Yeah. For who knows what. Do most of the time when these other agencies come on into El Dorado County, do they notify you? And
they're getting better at it.
Good.
When I started, that was somewhat of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember a year or two ago when I believe it was IRS or alcohol, ATF.
No, BATF.
Whoever it was came served the warrant on poor Reds.
Right. Right.
I learned about it from the picture on the front page of the paper. I was a little upset.
I bet.
We've contacted all the alphabet agencies.
Let
them know, look, we're not telling you that you're not allowed here. That's not what I'm saying.
Right,
you have your authority to do what you do. Come and do your job, absolutely. There's two things that I request. One is notify us that you're going to be in the area, and even if it's brief, and you don't want to give us too much, just give us kind of an idea of what's going on, so that we know if my deputies roll by the area or we get the phone calls into dispatch or whatnot, we're aware of it.
Oh,
Number two, if you are serving a search warrant in the county, I request to see a copy of the affidavit and the warrant. Two separate things.
Right.
When I asked I want to see a copy of the warrant, well, then I started just seeing copies of the warrant. The warrant is just, they call it the four corners of the warrant.
Mm-hmm.
The place to be searched, the things to be seized, and that's it.
Yeah, it's the scope of what they're going
That's
into.
it.
Right.
So now I've made it clear, no. I want a copy of the affidavit because I want to make sure that this is not a witch hunt. I mean, the judges, they're approved by a judge. I get that. I just want to make sure that everybody understands as well as me that there's enough here, everything's on the up and up. And I give an example. Years ago when I was in Amador County, it wasn't that somebody was coming into the county. We were asked to go assist another county on a large operation, and we asked to see a copy of the affidavit so that we could assist us in building our operations plan. And when we read the copy of the affidavit, it was, this is a little lacking. Not that they weren't in the right direction.
Right.
They weren't doing the right thing. It was just that there was concerns about the content on the affidavit, whether it was sufficient enough that if things went bad, we'd be are we going to be okay here?
Yeah. Are you going to get involved with a?
We
litigation?
expressed our concerns, and the other agency actually went out and corrected those and had it reran it by the judge again and had it the new warrant signed, and everything was fine. But those things can happen. So I asked for notification, and if you're serving a warrant, I want a copy of the warrant and affidavit, so that at least we know. For the most part, everybody has been very cooperative, very forthcoming. They understand my position on that and have worked very, very well making that happen.
You know, I'm so happy to hear that, because I have this vision of 4 black vehicles pulling up into a situation, guys jumping out with guns, and
Deputy was going by.
what would happen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, bad things could happen.
Oh, bad things could really happen.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, you know, because he doesn't know what's going on. Anybody can print an alphabet on the back of his shirt.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's why we usually also we offer. Do you need
Right.
help? Because we'll have a marked unit. Usually they ask for that. Can we borrow a marked unit to
Yeah.
come with us so
It
that
makes
it's
sense.
more identifiable? And absolutely,
Yeah.
we'll help any way we can. But it's big enough issue to me that
Yeah.
that those are the things that I request and pretty much demand. And like I said, everybody's getting along good together. Now, is that to say that the day couldn't come when they say, you know what, the heck with that sheriff, we're going to do our own thing? That could happen, and then we'll deal with it when it comes.
When it happens.
But right now, everybody's playing well in the sandbox.
No, that's always good news. So let's talk a little bit. One of the things I want to touch back on is always check in with you every month. Is how are we doing on the facilities, on the new facility, and how's that moving forward?
It's moving forward slowly, but it is moving forward.
Has the selection been done yet?
To my understanding, negotiations are nearly, if not finalized.
Okay, good. So by next month we might have an answer.
Hopefully, I believe the board meets next week. They've been dark the last 2 weeks, so hopefully, the negotiator will be able to give a presentation to the board as early as the 15th, where we are, and hopefully give directions to the board to move forward to open escrow and
Right.
purchase a piece of property.
Right.
If not, it won't be a purchase. It'll be solidify an option to buy. So hopefully, that's the next step. Which piece it is, I'm not sure.
Right.
That's their decision, as
Yeah.
I've said. Are we getting a call? I thought I heard it ringing.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Hey, good idea though. 621-1210. Give us a call. Why aren't you calling?
Call us anytime. So it's moving forward. In the interim, we're doing some other things. We're looking at different design,
Getting some ideas.
getting
for the
some ideas, the
Mm-hmm.
things that are out there.
Right.
Everybody, and it's already starting, and I knew this was coming. The sheriff's building a Taj Mahal.
Yeah,
Mr. Guerin in the last letter
to
to
the
the
editor.
editor bad mouthing us about buying the 50 cals. He also mentioned the Taj Mahal, and I think he called it the Pentagon, my own mini Pentagon.
Yeah, your
or
own mini
something.
Pentagon. That's right.
That's fine. We're going to have
Be
those
an interesting
folks that
shape for a
believe that.
building.
Yeah. But we, and I've said this before, we're looking for what we need.
Right.
That's all we're asking for is what we need. And I don't even want a Taj Mahal. The county, I know what the county can afford. I know where we're at. I know where we need to be, and that's all we're asking for. Now,
Right.
will it look like a Taj Mahal to some? Absolutely, because it's going to be the newest.
It's gonna be new.
It'll be the
Yeah.
newest government building in the county.
Right.
It will have, I want it to be inviting for the public.
Right.
Absolutely. I want it to be nice for my employees to come to work in a nice facility.
Hmm.
So is it going to look like a Taj Mahal to some? Absolutely. So, but it's only what we need. That's what we're going after, and that's fine.
And in this particular letter to the editor, I really don't believe this individual understands. All he needs to do is go into your existing building, walk around, take a look for a minute to understand the needs.
Go to the existing building,
Yeah.
and Mr. Guerin, John, please attend our
John.
Citizens
Yeah.
Academy. Please
Yeah.
attend our Citizens
Yeah.
Academy. Come
Maybe
and
find
see
out-
what's more to this big machine than just the deputies pushing a patrol car that you see.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think it would open your eyes.
Yeah, I think it would. Anybody would, and I mentioned that to people, and I said, just go and sometimes when I have CCW students, I tell them, go in the office and look around a little bit and see why we need a new building.
Yeah, and we've offered it up to anybody. If you want a tour of the agency, give us a call. We're going to try and start setting those up, probably one day a week, one afternoon a week, and give tours. Just walking into the lobby and looking around and walking down towards the records division,
right.
you get a little idea of what
it's
we're
a little
talking
age, but
about.
it's not bad. But when you start getting
when
into
you
the
get
old
into
jail,
when you get into the nuts and bolts and into the corners and whatnot, and you see what we're really dealing with, and what our employees are really dealing with, that's where it is. And I've said it before. To do nothing is not an option.
Right.
There's no other place in the county that you could put us. If there was another place, say, well, we'll just do some tenant improvement and put us over there.
Oh yeah.
Well, that is an option. Unfortunately, that isn't an option. There's no place out there that we could even do that. So the reality, and I've said this before, I was very hesitant early on to say it, and finally I said, you know what, it's just got to be said. I'm one ticked off employee from calling OSHA and me getting the phone call in the middle of the night or the next morning say, hey, Sheriff, guess what? There's a nice big red bow on our front door saying we can't occupy. We're in bad shape if that happens.
Yeah.
I'm worried about air quality. I'm worried about safety. I'm worried about ADA. I'm worried about everything else. So, the Vanner study that the county did, that was part of their reasoning. They said, you're wasting money you're wasting money to try and fix this up.
That's right.
It's outlived its usefulness. And, quite honestly, too, the past practices of the county with not really having a deferred maintenance plan and keeping ahead of issues rather than, we don't fix it till it's broken. That pays a toll on facilities.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
A huge toll.
Yeah.
I mean, we all own, we all have houses. We paint our houses. We replace our roofs. We replace our water heaters. We replace things as things start looking like, it's time. We better do something here.
Right.
The county in the past didn't work like that. Well, it's still working. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
It ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, and the other thing that the county did is that they trimmed down so much. Not only did they not repair, they didn't have the people to keep up with the maintenance, and that was another issue. I mean, you can get too thin.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
And I talked to some of those guys over there, and the few guys in the maintenance in that department said, "Man, we are so busy. There's huge overtimes on some of it. Some of these guys have to travel between Tahoe and here. The crew up in Tahoe is real light, is my understanding. So, I understand being thrifty, just like I am my own business. I'm not going to have somebody that I'm going to hire to sit around and not do the job. But at the same time, if I have a job that's not getting done because I'm just not going to hire somebody, it doesn't work.
You get what you reap what you sow.
Exactly.
So the bottom line is we're moving forward. Things are looking good. We're staying focused, staying moving. The next big question for the board, to us is how are we going to pay for it? I believe that has been answered over and over and will be answered even more in the next few coming months on different financial vehicles that the county can afford. In my opinion, which is the most attractive, is a lease purchase buyback. Just have somebody come in and build it.
Oh, yeah.
Keep the county out of it as much as possible because that just adds time and money. Just have them build it and then the county leases it. And then at the end of 20, 25, 30 years, pay the developer $1 and then the county owns it.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And that's done in many places, and it's an excellent way of doing it, and it helps counties with their cash flow quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So it's a good deal.
Yep.
That's a real good one.
Yep.
How are I got somebody who sent me some questions on that were due to population basis. One of the things they asked is if you know what the crime rate per 1,000 population is in El Dorado County.
Off the top of my head, I don't. However, if you go to our website and you look up down at the bottom of the front page, on the front page of the El Dorado Sheriff's website, there is a link to the annual report. For the last 3 years since I've been in office, we put out an annual report every year, and those statistics are listed in that report.
So that'll give that answer. So for you that asked that question, all that information and more is there on the website.
Yes, and if you want more information, you can go to the FBI UCR, the Federal Bureau of Investigations,
Right.
the Uniform Crime Reporting (UCR), and you can break that down by state, by county, by city. You can find all that other information broken down, just gobs of it.
Yeah.
If you're a statistics person,
If
you
you
want
like
to look
that
at
stuff,
stats,
yeah.
look at it. Now, one of the things, and we've mentioned it on this show before, when I first came into office, our property crimes rates went up, and I was upset about that. However, until I realized what the cause of it was, prior to me being sworn in, it was the policy of the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office that if you had a property crime where there was no suspect information and none or very limited evidence or anything like that, you were directed to go and self-report online. When I came in, I said, no. If you want a deputy, you get a deputy. If you have a crime, we want to take the paper, because we never know. You might get out there and it might be completely innocuous to you, but there may be one little piece of evidence, or just a location, or just the manner of entry, or the modus operandi, the MO of the suspect helps us put together a big puzzle.
Right.
So we take those reports now. So therefore, the amount of reports we took
went up.
Went up.
Yeah.
So right now we're pretty much flattening, if not dropping a little bit.
How is immigration affecting El Dorado County?
Oh, you know what? You asked me earlier if there's anything I want to talk about, and I said
Yeah.
no, and that reminds me. I got a major problem right now.
Okay. All right, get ready. Ding, ding,
Here
ding,
we go.
major problem.
So, the whole immigration issue as is being portrayed on the news and everything that we're seeing really isn't affecting us that much. And that's
Right.
not really exactly what I wanted to talk about. But what I do want to talk about is this ICE holds, Immigration Customs Enforcement.
Right. Yeah.
The holds. And what I mean by that is, if we arrest an undocumented alien, an illegal alien, for a crime, and that person either is released on OR or bails, or for whatever reason they're ready to get out of jail. Prior to the last 3 or 4 months, 6 months, there's a federal statute that says we notify ICE.
Right.
ICE reviews the person's criminal history, who they are, what they're in jail for, everything. They look at everything. And then they determine whether or not to place a hold on this individual, an immigration's hold on this individual. The law states that the local jurisdiction shall hold that individual for up to 48 hours on that hold. If
Okay.
ICE issues the hold,
Right.
then we have to, per the federal statute, says we shall hold that person for up to 48 hours, giving ICE an opportunity to come and take that person into custody.
Okay.
All changed now. Even though the law stays the same and says shall, not may, it says shall. Even though the law says shall, both the federal government and our state attorney general have determined that it's not mandatory. It is absolutely 100% voluntary whether or not we do that. Because of the federal government's position and stance on that, and because of our Attorney General's position and stance on that, this has opened the door for litigation from organizations such as ACLU, which successfully litigated a case in Oregon on this exact issue, and they won. They said that the sheriff, who after the hold was placed by ICE, held that person in custody, because the federal government is no longer mandating it, that he was detaining her, it was a female,
Yeah.
detaining her beyond
what the initial
hold was for.
Right.
Detaining her beyond that.
Right.
And because there was no new crime or any probable cause of why she needed to be detained, the ICE hold in and of itself, because it is no longer mandatory, he was in violation. So now the ACLU has already threatened and said, if you don't change your policies, this is what is going to happen. Our head legal counsel for state sheriffs and California Peace Officers Association have also come to the same conclusion and said, yep, if you do this, you're going to pay for it, unfortunately. The problem that I really have with this is, number one, how can the federal government say, well, the law says this, but we're gonna ignore it?
Yeah.
And it happens every day. It happens every day if you think about it. We have Schedule I drugs, controlled substances. Marijuana is a perfect example. It's still on the books. It's a federal offense to possess marijuana.
Right.
But it's okay. We're going to ignore it. Immigration. The whole envelope of immigration. We have the laws on the books on how you can become a citizen and how you can immigrate to this country
legally. How you can all do it legally. Right.
But we ignore it.
Yeah.
And it really, really bugs me. So now, if I have an illegal alien that comes into my custody for, let's say, theft, petty theft, even petty theft, shoplifting at Walmart.
Sure.
Shoplifting at Walmart. For whatever reason, they end up in my custody for that. Not for whatever reason, they shoplift from Walmart. They go to court. Judge says, yeah, you know what, we're going to release you on your own recognizance. You live locally or whatever. You show a local address or whatnot. Or the person bails out. We notify ICE. ICE says, holy smokes, this guy's got an extensive criminal history. He's been deported 3 times already. We want you to hold him. I can't.
You can't.
I can't. Otherwise, I'm putting the county's coffers in jeopardy.
That's
Does that seem right?
No, there's something seems wrong about the whole thing. It's like, well, of course.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Well, everybody's one of the big topics, of course, is this immigration issue, and there's no easy answer on the big picture. But this is interesting that if you have a situation where ICE that is to enforce the immigration policies says we need you to hold. And it's just a hold. It's not like they're prosecuting him, locking him up, and throwing him in a federal situation. It's just in where he's
Keep in mind they're illegal.
All right,
they're here illegally.
Absolutely. And ICE says, hey, we've got something on this guy. We're going to come get him or whatever. Now you have to ignore that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
and that was
a
court
suggestion.
Okay, so there was obviously a court case. Somebody stood up. If the ACLU has gone ahead and taken this case on, and as you said, successfully won this particular one, I'm at a loss as to what was the legality, I guess, in the first place of having the power, ICE have the power to state to a sheriff that you need to hold this person for 48 hours.
Well, the intent was they're here illegally, and this is somebody that we don't want here, so we're going to come get them and get them deported.
Okay, so then it's because they're illegal. They're not in the country legally.
Right.
That's the problem. So we should have the ability to be able to hold them to satisfy whatever ICE or whatever agency needs to satisfy for their investigation. But now you can't.
No.
Jonathan.
I do have a question from the chat room.
Okay, yeah, chat room's got a question.
The person's question is, what's the average number of people who go to jail today? I'm assuming do you have an idea as far as the
How many
intake?
How many do we have?
Yeah.
Coming in?
Well, we can have per day. We have. I get my reports every week. Every Monday morning when we have staff meeting, I get reports from my staff on management staff, command staff, on arrests, coroner's cases, investigations, calls for service, on all that. And it fluctuates. It bounces anywhere between, from the sheriff's office, just from our agency, we'll have anywhere between 35, 40 arrests to last week, because over the 4th of July holiday, we had 78 arrests for our agency.
Right.
Now, you also have to look at CHP and the 2 police departments, and then any other agencies that come in, which is not very frequent, but it does happen. You know, the police department in South Lake Tahoe may have 15, 20, 30 arrests. Placerville Police may have half a dozen arrests.
Right.
And CHP may have 15, 20 arrests.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge, it is a large number that comes in through our doors. Now, keep in mind, a lot of them, not a lot of them, many of them may be an issue of sobering them up until we can release them, and then we'll release them on citation, or 849B if it was just, which is a deemed a detention, not an arrest, if they were just drunk in public. There really isn't anything else there. We get them arraigned as soon as possible if they don't bail, so they'll be before the judge. He may release them. All this time, up until just a month or two ago, I've been talking about how lucky we are to have room at the inn.
Right.
That's not happening.
Uh-oh.
We're filling up.
We're filling up.
We were going, we were bouncing 100, 110 beds open.
Right.
All the time. This week we were down to 41 open beds. Now, when I say we have 41 open beds, you have to keep in mind with classification, that doesn't mean I can take 41 people in my door and put them in a bed, because I can't house this knucklehead with that knucklehead, or that knucklehead with that knucklehead.
Yeah.
So there's a 3D chess game going on all the time as to classification, who can house with who, and what pod can we house them with, and everything else. So when we're talking 40 beds total between South Lake Tahoe and the Placerville jail, we're really cutting it close.
So, what has brought this number up? It isn't local arrests, is it? Or because I know you rent out some beds.
We do, and if these numbers keep. We had the conversation with the captain about, is it time to tell them to come and get them?
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing we'll do before we ever start having to release anybody. We will get the contract beds back into their own counties. He says we're not quite there yet, but it's coming.
Interesting.
The numbers going up aren't so much that we have more arrests and more people coming in through the door. We're holding these people longer. Just what we talked about, what the ramifications of long-term sentencing for the AB 109 1170 sentences. We're seeing it.
Yeah.
We're filling up. We're filling up.
Interesting. Well, we can't say we didn't expect it.
No, we've said it's coming.
It was a matter of time, and with the mandate from the state on the situation. So, and of course, right now with the 4th of July holiday being one of the peak times for arrests and problems,
and we work, we monitor it. Again, we're always looking at. I mentioned the 3D chess game. We're always looking at where we are, what's coming up. We're working with the courts. We're working with probation, with anything that we can do to help alleviate that problem without putting the public at risk. In other words, opening the doors and saying, hey, we got to release all these knuckleheads. Working with probation, are there alternative sentencing programs that some of these folks can get on that will work? I mentioned before one of the good things that's come out of AB 109 was how we look at the inmate population individually, not as just a whole, but picking out individual inmates and saying, okay, this person, we know if we provide these types of services and this type of programming, given their work history, their job history, their family life,
ties to the community,
education, ties, and all that other stuff. We know if we do this person, if we can let him out on probation, he's not going to be a risk, he or she be a risk, and probably won't be back in our doors. So we're constantly looking at that and working with probation, who's been a very, very good partner in dealing with this issue that we have. And we'll be dealing more and more.
Yeah. You know, I was going to jump back into the illegal alien situation again too, because I want to understand something just a little bit more. Let's say you pick up an illegal, whatever they or she or he may be, in let's say an armed robbery. I mean, we're talking about more serious crime now than just petty stuff, and you know, they're in jail. I doubt. If they're illegal, do illegals, are there bailmen out there that are willing to bail these illegals out?
Well, everybody's eligible for bail.
I understand that.
Constitutional.
But
even if they're illegal.
All right. So they're guys writing bail for these illegal guys, huh?
They're
See, that would bother me. My first thing is, how do you know he's going to be there tomorrow?
He's going to be in Tijuana.
Yeah, exactly, or wherever he may be. So, but now you have a situation where you have an illegal and he's in your jail for a more serious crime, and he's having his day in court, whatever they may be, and he's sentenced for something under a year. Okay, you still have to hang on to this guy. ICE isn't involved at this point.
Not yet, no.
No other federal
No.
agency.
No.
So
No.
it stays just
so
like
up to his out date. Let's say his out date is June 1st. We know that's coming. We notify ICE and say, hey, we have this individual in custody.
Right.
His sentence is running up. His out date is June 1st. We notify ICE. June 1st says, yep, put a hold on him. We'll be there. And for whatever reason, they don't. It doesn't matter anymore. If they're not there the day that he walks out the door,
you can't do
we
anything.
can't hold him one minute longer.
Right. I wonder if I'd be interested to see how they actually want it, because it would be interesting to see if any government agency might try to challenge that a little bit more, being ICE themselves at that level, trying to justify the fact that they need some time to be able to get through this.
We have asked ICE. We have the State Sheriffs Association has asked them directly, straight up. We want something in writing from you. Please give us something in writing that says you have 48 hours, gives you the time to be able to do your job.
Right.
They won't do it.
They won't do it.
They won't take on the administration.
Yeah.
They will not do it.
Well, I guess that answers that question.
Yep.
I sure wish I had an answer for the whole immigration problem. The only problem I have with anything is, what part of illegal don't you understand? Illegal is illegal, but that seems to be an issue.
It's only legal if you get caught.
Only if you get caught. So I don't want to get in this because I get some hate mail. I know that. And we're about to wrap up the show anyway. We're sorry you didn't call in. It was 621-1210. We'll get another minute or so to wrap it up if you are interested in asking the sheriff a question, or myself a question for that matter. But as you know, if you've been a regular watcher of the show, our sheriff is very kind to come in every month, and we talk about what the heck's going on in this county. And I don't know of a more informative way for people to learn about what's going on, and to learn about our deputies, and how things are going, how facilities are going, how we talked about intakes this weekend for the 4th of July, something we haven't talked before, so you get an idea of what we've got going. So we certainly provide a lot of information, I think, out there for those folks. And please send us emails. We get emails all the time and on the chat list, and the sheriff's door is always open too, so you can call him and make an appointment to see him. And Jonathan's saying something to me that I don't know. Oh, okay, and he's absolutely right. Forgive me for not saying this. The reason you're able to see this show, of course, is because Old Guy Tech TV puts us on, and we are always looking for donations. So if you can spare a little bit, go to our website, theogt.tv, and give us a little. It would help. It's been pretty dry. And one more news. That's why we have a producer. Old Guy Tech TV is also now an Amazon.com affiliate. So if you're interested in helping Old Guy Tech TV out, what you can do is you go through our website, you click on the affiliate button for Amazon is there. It goes into Amazon, do your regular shopping, it won't know any difference, but we actually get a little credit for it. Nice. So in the long run, that would be very helpful. So hopefully you guys can do that. Jonathan, our producer, thank you for helping us in that. John, our sheriff, thank you very much for coming in again. As always, we have great conversations, and I think we're going to continue. I'm always looking for more. And for those of you out there, thanks for watching Old Guy TV. This is Crime Beat, and this is Rob Furl, Old Guy TV, and I'm tired. Sorry, guys. And I will talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.